Welcome to Dragonian, your podcast for news and updates in Hong Kong and Taiwan. I'm your host, William.
Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode in 2024, which we call it the episode 23 of the Dragonian podcast. This is your host, William. This week's episode will about how new beginnings we are taking shape in Hong Kong and Taiwan, as we are seeing a formation of a new Patriots-only district council, and also with the new Taiwan Railways Administration being now reformed to be Taiwan's Railways Limited. We are seeing new beginnings in 2024 as we are starting the new year. As of always, good year for everybody, and if you would like to learn more about what's happening in Hong Kong and Taiwan, please subscribe to our podcast. Whether you're listening from your favorite podcast app or directly from YouTube or YouTube Music, please subscribe. So now, first we'll start with news that happened in Hong Kong. First is about tourists from mainland and about the Hong Kong Night Vibes program. The government in recent months had basically sponsored tourists from coming to Hong Kong by offering free money, 200 Hong Kong dollars to be precise, and a free travel card, in this case octopus card, when they visit Hong Kong and present their own passports in designated spots, which included the Star Ferry and some of the ports such as the Hong Kong International Airport. However, after the New Year countdown, there have been news about tourists cramping on border crossings, while at the same time it seemed to have revealed in Xiaohongshu, one of the mainland social media, that some of them are technically abusing this by not even putting a dime in Hong Kong's economy, their own dime, of course. There are also calls for reviewing late night cross-border services offered in the current level. So first about the government sponsored or the tourism board sponsor. So basically, in support of the Hong Kong's Night Vibes program and about Hong Kong's tourism industry, the Hong Kong government had basically put free money or giving out free red packets for any tourists who visit Hong Kong at designated spots. In these spots, basically, if you present a non-Hong Kong ID or a non-Hong Kong passport and a non-Hong Kong phone number, you will be entitled to 200 Hong Kong dollars and a free special edition octopus card. However, guides basically appeared from last week about how they can use these guides and use any like free coupons to basically go to Hong Kong for literally for free. In this case, because of the New Year countdown, a lot of mainland tourists came to Hong Kong, as there have been reports saying that the China is telling them not to celebrate this New Year. However, after the New Year celebrations and the countdown ended, a lot of these mainlanders decide to get back to mainland as soon as possible, which basically means that they don't even spend a night in Hong Kong. As a result, the mainland ports, and this the only 24-hour port that operates in Hong Kong, the Huanggang port, basically was overwhelmed with mainlanders wishing to get back to Hong Kong, while at the same time, the Hong Kong's port, they could not handle that much amount of people due to the port is actually now being under renovation. Furthermore, for this port and basically for all of the things that happened within here, basically it cramped. The whole port was cramped with cars, and public transport, in this case cross-border buses, could not operate normally. As a result, there are now calls for reviewing late-night cross-border services, and basically saying that basically they are now finding the culprit as technically there is no culprit or no one single culprit, so they are actually now finding culprit. In this new beginning, it seems quite interesting, or it seems problematic, as we are basically seeing a new beginning with basically new chaos within the city. In this case, accepting mainland tourists or building a robust public transport network that can cater not only the needs for locals but also tons of tourists that were not originally designed for. After that, it is about the new district council. So New Year came the new patriotic only district council. Well, in this case, all of these new district council members are given $1 million each to revive their district's economy or their own respective district's economy. At the same time, as the government officials now basically effectively control the agenda of these new district councils, as they are directly led by administrative officials, they basically got the power to manage local utility and a lot of local problems. As a result, different districts actually got quite creative in organizing events, but there seems to be a huge disconnect between the general public, as there are no consultation or no any meaningful discussions would took place on this patriot-only council, with most councils having their first meeting in the first week of January. These meetings have been greatly shortened from 4 to 5 hours meetings to just less than 2 hours. And for this 1 million allocated fund to revive the district's economy, basically it is only the local administrative officials thinking of plans, and basically most, if not all, district council members just parrot speak and support these plans even without a lot of discussions on site. For these discussions on how this 1 million should be used, some district councils actually gave up very interesting plans. For example, going with local festivals, or even setting up so-called photo spots for taking photos instead of something real or something that is tangible for the locals to so-called improve their sense of feeling good. Yeah, 提升幸福感 or sense of happiness, and not happiness, but it's feeling good. New beginnings. For this new 2024, it seems this a little bit depressing for Hong Kong, but it's just another continuation. And the last piece of thing or the information that is about trials on Jimmy Lai and other 2019 protests actually continued. For Jimmy Lai, it's the national security, and the 2019 is the rioting and anything that's related to rioting. As we are seeing another week getting by, and things are still at a state of relative absurdity for the majority of people within Hong Kong, where the government presented new evidence for the Jimmy Lai's case from a distressed basically from one of the 12 Hong Kong people who fled Hong Kong and then got arrested and detained in mainland China. Those are protesters. It's included Lee. And for that, and all of the evidence, it seems to have pointed out the plot to overturn the Hong Kong government technically illegally. And there are also other 2019 protest cases happening on court, which are basically just a repeat on anything that happened within that period of time. No amnesty, no discussion, no independent review, and basically just slapping up the so-called color revolution or the color revolution label so as to explain all of the things that happened within those days. I can't say that if that is a wise choice, but it is definitely something that needs to be discussed if they want reconciliation within the society. So these are things that happened in Hong Kong. And next is about Taiwan. As basically we are getting to its last month of elections in Taiwan. Last week was the actual week where there will be no more opinion polls data that should be released before the election. This was a direct result on the 2000 election, where because of one party picking up falsified polls or falsified information or falsified opinion or slanted opinion polling, that directly led to the Pan Blues losing to the Pan Greens at that time. And in here, as there are no more polls, there are still events, there are still news, there's still media that happen in Taiwan, or then there are still news. And for this new beginning in Taiwan, the first is about the Taiwan Railways Administration. Having operated for more than 120 years of the Taiwan Railways Administration, or its former self, it is now rebranded and basically got incorporated as a company to finish a step to transform itself to a government company that is fully owned by the government. There had actually been calls for turning the TRA into a company for over 20 years, with the latest serious discussion basically initiated by two separate fatal incidents on two different reasons that happened in 2018 and 2021 separately that took toll on innocent lives. In the reports that were carried out after and investigation carried out after, there it seems to be an issue on the corporate culture and the safety issues, and also the lack of funding and the low fares that are within the TRA, as technically the Taiwan Railways Administration was operating similar to a charity with a very much lower than normal train fares, was used as a way to so-called promote equality. As a result, these calls have now finally took place, and now Taiwan Railways is a government fully owned company. At the same time, there have been a lot of discussions on worker rights and other safety features, as basically incorporating the railway administration into a company will not actually solve it in one day, as the culture is still there. So there will actually need to be some amendment on basically the culture and amendment of how the TRA operates as a company. Although government actually pledged money to continue their improvement or to invest in the TRA, there are actually still a lot of the future of the company is actually quite uncertain. As basically we are witnessing the nationalization of British Rail and how other companies or how other governments are treating the rail, it seems that the current state in Taiwan seems to be a little bit warrant some discussions, at least. We hope the TRA can actually work better, and we actually hope the TRA can get into its former glory self. But it really takes time and it takes a lot of effort. Secondly, this is about how new rules are being passed due to the fatal school accidents that happened last week. 2 weeks ago, not last week in terms of the discussions or in terms of this whole news period. So the Ministry of Education had issued amendments on rules on tackling searches on student items, where they've added a new category on emergency searches. This was passed as amendments as there were a great outcry on this student stabbing another student, eventually killing that innocent student, on this whole events that happened in December 2023. There are actually a lot of discussions, but this seems to be a step on mending the tall, mending the depth, or hope to raise awareness and concern on the power or on the powerless state on teachers, or the state on how these are working, on how the teachers are facing. We hope that in these cases, we hope that there will be no more such fatal accidents appearing again in Taiwan's schools, nor I hope that there are lots of problems that are within Taiwan. But we actually need to work towards a better self. And actually, I sincerely hope, basically everyone sincerely hopes, that no more of these fatal accidents happen in Taiwan's schools again. I hope that this can come as a new beginning for Taiwan's schools to not only to tackle this problem, to free from tackling this problem again, but to serve as a reminder on how to improve the social safety net, as there are actually discussions on how triads were involved in this killing or stabbing event, albeit just because of that the attacker as a triad member. So lastly, about news about Taiwan is about the election itself. So a former Taiwan People's Party member that decided to run as an independent in Taoyuan for its Taoyuan's first constituency for its legislative yuan seat was arrested for espionage charges. The charges included her election campaign having accepted funds from China and espionage charges for providing intel to Chinese authorities on all of these discussions. After she was arrested, the Taiwan People's Party immediately expelled her from the party because of basically this charge is actually that serious. As a result, there are basically a lot of discussions taking place on whether they should basically do a comprehensive review on Taiwan's national security. However, basically apart from this TPP member being arrested for ties with China, whose surname is Ma, another current legislator, Ma Wenjun, whom we have discussed quite a few times on her involvement in the indigenous submarine program and basically other programs, on how she leaked intel on, or basically not doing intel and other charges, and even on her own flat and even other news. That's basically there are basically the prosecutors are now ramping up on the prosecution side on whether she had basically leaked, or basically she had leaked information that she should not leak, or basically leak informations for the bad of, or to that decimate Taiwan's or opposing or indirect opposition on Taiwan's national security interests. However, as she is running, this seems to be just an continue and ever evolving case. But surely we cannot discuss, or we cannot say any place any direct direct good or bad or direct conclusion on this. But it seems that we are continuing to see the idea on how Taiwan is tackling with its national security problem, albeit not an immediate issue. Taiwan is actually quite fortunate for this discussion, for this discussion to even take place at the first time, or at first. Because of how we are seeing Hong Kong's and Taiwan's events, there are not a lot of events that appear to affect both Hong Kong and Taiwan, apart from some minor discussions on Taiwan will become another Hong Kong, and basically this was all that connects Hong Kong and Taiwan, apart from the theme. because like Taiwan is now in the election, and basically all Taiwan people are in election mode. There are a lot of threats. There are a lot of there are a lot of election rallies, which the TPP has been hosting, albeit with some success, and also other parties do host their parties rallies. We are basically seeing how Taiwan's multicultural and multipolar political spectrum or ideology on the idea of reunification. Taiwan is actually quite fortunate in this case. So yes, so basically, we hope you find. So basically, this is the end of this episode. We hope you find this episode actually informative. If you do, please subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss a single episode. Albeit to the end of this episode, there are actually some quite unfortunate events. The host himself are suffering from a little bit of mental issues. Albeit actually quite minor. On its own problems. Although it's mild depression. Yeah. So I'm feeling a little bit depressed on quite some recent events that happened within my family circle and within my own self. However, episodes will still continue to be here, and if you have any feedback, please let us know in the comments or drop us an email at william@dragonianpod.com. So thanks again for listening, and we will be back next week with more news from Hong Kong and Taiwan. Have a safe, prosperous, and happy week ahead. Goodbye.